Is it important to know how often Mario characters appear on the game's box art? Probably not. Is it interesting? Yeah, it says a lot about changing trends in both how Nintendo does box art over the decades, as well as the standings within the Mario universe. So I looked at every single Mario cover art and simply tallied up how often each character appears on one, ending up with the ranking I'm about to present to you. But first, the rules. I only counted what you could consider true Mario games. Only titles for Nintendo consoles and games usually considered part of the Mario franchise, which means that Luigi's Mansion, Captain Toad and Peach's games do count, but not Donkey Kong, Yoshi and Wario, which are often considered their own series. Crossovers between Mario and another series also count, but Super Smash Bros. Does not. Ports and remakes do count, but they only count once. For example, for the Switch version of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Mario isn't counted again, as he already appeared on the first cover, but for example Flurry does, since she didn't originally appear on the GameCube's box. I also only counted the American versions of the box arts, not the Japanese or European ones, which do differ. It just became too confusing otherwise. With that said, let's get started by skipping past every character that only appears once, which is obviously a whole bunch, including even Link, Isabelle and Inkling, thanks to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We will also go past a smaller group of characters with 2 appearances on the cover, which includes names like Baby Mario, Petey Piranha and Dr. Mario, to start at the point where we have weeded out the more peripheral names, which is at a total of 3 cover art appearances. Only 2 characters managed to hit this number, being Luma and Pauline. Both have a remarkably similar reason for ending up here. First, you have 2 games that heavily feature them, being Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for Luma, and Mario vs Donkey Kong March of the Minis and Miniland Mayhem for Pauline, before then capping off their resume with Switch 2 games. Mario Wonder Switch 2 Edition for Luma, Mario Kart World for Pauline. Fun fact, Mario Kart World is actually the Mario game that features the most characters on its cover art, which is fitting, looking at its massive roster, one of the biggest the series has ever seen. Another contender for that is probably Mario Super Sluggers, which does not have a massive amount of characters on its box, but it does give some points to some characters we have already passed, like Petey Piranha, Baby Peach, Blooper, and even Baby Donkey Kong. One step higher on the ranking, with a total of 4 appearances, we have Kamek. Now, you may wonder how I can separate Kamek from a regular Magic Koopa, but it's actually not hard at all, because a Magic Koopa has never appeared on the cover of any Mario game. Toadies have though. Anyway, despite being around since the first Yoshi's Island, it took a very long time before Kamek started showing up, with his first time on the cover not arriving until Mario Party 9. In general, most of Kamek's points come from Mario Party games, with his most recent point being the latest entry, Super Mario Party Jamboree. So whereas Kamek scored his points in relatively recent years, the opposite is true for the next character, who has appeared on cover art a total of 5 times. Donkey Kong Jr. features on the covers of Super Mario Kart, Mario Tennis for Virtual Boy, and Game & Watch Gallery 1, 3 and 4, the latter of which he even appears on alongside modern Donkey Kong. All in all, a pretty decent showing I think for DK Jr., even if he is obviously only going down from here. And the chances he will ever catch up to the characters above him are also nearly 0, especially when you know who they are. Sharing the 9th team spot are 2 names with pretty big prominence, the first of which is Diddy Kong. Diddy made his first box art appearance in Mario Kart Double Dash, before then making subsequent showings on art for several games that, weirdly enough, do show Diddy, but not Donkey Kong. Mario Party Tennis, Mario Super Sluggers, Mario Party Star Rush, Diddy's there, but Donkey Kong is not. His equal in the list proved to be Rosalina, who made her cover art debut in Mario Party Island Tour, which she then swiftly followed up with the Wii U cover of Mario and Sonic at the 2016 Olympic Games, which is the only cover art that features Rosalina but not Peach. Rosalina is also, at the moment of writing, the character who most recently scored a point, being freshly added to the cover of the Meetup at Belleville Park Switch 2 version of Mario Bros. Wonder. She shares this fact with Toadette, who is actually next up, with a total of 8 points, a number she shares with 2 other characters. Toadette made her first cover art appearance in Mario Party 6, and even though she has recently become a bit of a mainstay in the core Mario games, that isn't necessarily reflected in the cover art. She isn't on the original cover of Mario Wonder, she isn't on the cover of Mario Maker 2, and I also didn't count her for New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, because even though Peachette technically is Toadette, come on, this should 100% count as an appearance for Peach. Also at 8 points is Lakitu, who has been able to scramble together points from all over the franchise. A bit of Mario Kart here, a bit of enemy placement there, it's just consistently featured in smaller background roles on these boxes, but those count up decently well. Birdo also managed to get 8 points. Of course, these mostly hail from spin-offs like Mario Party and Kart, but she also gets points for Super Mario All-Stars, as well as the Super Mario Advance version of Super Mario Bros. 2, which adds Birdo to the logo even. We reach the top 15 next with another draw. With 9 points we have Shy Guy, who similarly to Lakitu has been able to collect points from all over the franchise in minor placements, as well as Bowser Jr., who took a good while to make his first cover after making his debut in Mario Sunshine. It wouldn't be until Mario Party 9 before he would first appear on a cover art, a whole 10 years after Sunshine basically made him a main cast member. He then swiftly followed it up with Sticker Star later that same year, which is one of 2 games to feature Junior but not Bowser, the other being Island Tour. We are nearly done with draws, but there is another up next when we look at the point total of 14, a pretty big gap from Shy Guy and Bowser Jr. at 8. The first to land here is Koopa, of course one of the most recognizable Mario enemies that especially had a good run early in the series' life. In fact, Koopa appears on the covers of both Mario games released for Virtual Boy, which is something that furthermore only applies to Mario himself. I should probably point out though, for characters that are also a species, that I only counted them if they resemble what you could consider the core design of the character. For Koopa that means a green shell, for example, and for Shy Guy that means a red hood. If those are not present or the characters are exclusively used as background elements, so showing the entire population of the species basically, I haven't counted them. That wasn't a problem for who Koopa tied with, which is Waluigi. I personally think this is a bit of a disappointing showing for Waluigi, keeping in mind that we are not even at the top 10 yet. Waluigi's cover showings are pretty much what you expect, although there are some games that cut Wario off but keep Waluigi. The most surprising without a doubt is Game & Watch Gallery 4, which does not feel like a game Waluigi would be on the cover of, but yet he is. Just missing out on the top 10 is our number 11, with 15 points, Boo. Boo is a weird one, having earned most of its points during a phenomenal run during the GameCube era. It's on the cover of all GameCube era Mario Party games, including Mario Party Advance, Mario Power Tennis and Luigi's Mansion, while also reappearing for the second installment on 3DS. And in some more random roles, including a sprite-based showing for the first Mario Maker, which is in general a weird one to judge because of those sprites, and you get a very respectable showing, above main cast members like Waluigi and Rosalina. We enter the top 10 now, which starts off with Princess Daisy at 19 points. After a first initial cover appearance for Super Mario Land, it went quiet for Daisy all the way until Mario Party 4, but ever since she has become the queen of spin-offs, even more so than Waluigi, and of course now also has the feather known as Super Mario Bros. Wonder in her cap. I feel Daisy is a very good candidate for a future riser. She has a lot of momentum behind her right now, and while in the past female characters like her and Peach would occasionally miss out or be more in the background, that has 100% changed with the years. That said, she does now have competition from both Rosalina and Pauline for her real estate, and with the new Mario movie heavily featuring Rosalina, who knows, maybe I'm off the mark here. At number 9 we have a small step of 1 point to a total of 20, which is where we find Wario. Obviously, if Wario Land and WarioWare counted, he'd be much higher, but just like Waluigi, I feel like this is a bit of an underperformance from the big man. You can definitely see throughout the series' history that back in the early days, Wario was one of the most recognizable faces, appearing on plenty of box arts for spin-offs and the like, but in recent times he does occasionally get left off. For example, Wario hasn't appeared on the cover of a Mario Party game since the 3DS, and while he is on the cover of Mario Kart World, he is the smallest out of everyone. Not sure what's up with that, and while I don't worry for the future of Wario or anything, with Daisy behind him, he might be moving down a spot sooner rather than later. And speaking of being in a downward motion, number 8 is Donkey Kong on 21 points, and while obviously iconic, he too very much has the majority of his appearances early on in the series. Possibly due to his large size, which might also be Wario's problem, he has the tendency to get left off. Case in point, the number of games that do have Waluigi and Diddy on the cover, but not Wario and Donkey Kong. Now, obviously DK has a sort of new momentum behind him now, with his new design, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and possibly soon a movie focused entirely on him, so I don't think he's going anywhere. But whether the new faith Nintendo has for him will be reflected on the cover of actual Mario games, that is something I can't say I'm entirely convinced about. Next up, we have the king of the enemies, the most iconic of them all, Goomba, with a very impressive 25 cover arts in total. Now, obviously Goomba is never the star. They're almost always background elements, fodder for the backdrop basically. But still, they're very often present, ranging everywhere from mainline games to also spin-offs, especially in the more recent times. Goomba even scored a point for Paper Mario, because while I would imagine this is meant to be Goombario, he doesn't have a hat on, and so, for all intents and purposes, this is just a normal Goomba, and therefore it should count. But yeah, even though I did expect Goomba to do well based on how easy it is to just throw its little body on art piece just to fill a blank space, I didn't expect it to do this well, above plenty of Mario main cast members. And fittingly, at number 6 we have Goomba's heroic counterpart, Toad. That said, the gap is massive. 25 covers for Goomba, 38 for Toad, showing this is really where the main cast starts. Toad has a bit of a rough start, missing out on more of the early covers, but ever since, I wanna say the GameCube era, he is basically always there. He's so small, such a helpful utility character too, he's basically perfect to squeeze in whenever you need a little space filled up. It's simple really, whenever there's an ensemble cast for the cover, Toad is always there. But due to his frequent playable appearances, he has also shown up in plenty of mainline Mario covers, starting with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Not always prominently, just like Goomba, but he's often there. I feel Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the perfect example. From memory, you would always say, oh yeah, that's just Mario and Yoshi. But would you look at that? We have reached the top 5, and wouldn't you believe it, we're starting with a draw. Yes, the moment a new Mario game is announced from this point on, we could see a shift in these rankings this high up, because tied at a perfect 40 points are Bowser and Yoshi. Bowser's place definitely disappointed me a little, seeing as he is super iconic and the main villain of the series. What I would estimate his problem is that seeing as Mario games like to present themselves as whimsical and fun, which Bowser is hard to immediately fit into, he gets left out of most mainline Mario game covers, as well as the fact that he's very big, so covers a lot of space. You can also clearly see it took some time for Bowser to become recognizable and iconic. He's really not in many cover arts prior to around, let's say midway Nintendo 64, at which point Super Mario 64 had given him a whole new energy. Yoshi is basically the opposite, he's a cover art monster. He has been on the cover ever since his first game, Super Mario World, and it sometimes feels like Nintendo wants to make damn sure you know Yoshi is in a game. At this point, I think the only reason he isn't higher up is because Yoshi isn't in literally every game. It's pretty much a rule. If Yoshi is in a game, he gets on the cover. A funny example here though is Mario Maker. Even though the 3DS version has a smaller box art, due to the smaller box size compared to Wii U, Yoshi is actually added for the 3DS version. But okay, we have landed at the top 3, and I think we all know who is gonna end up here. The only question that remains is the order. Put your bets in now, because I'm about to reveal that at number 3 we have Princess Peach with a total of 57 points. A massive number obviously, and it could have been even higher. Nowadays, Peach is a mainstay on the cover of basically every spin-off, but especially during the early days that wasn't always the case. What also significantly hurts her compared to the top 2 is that it's very recent, like Switch era, that she has started appearing on mainline cover arts. Prior to that, she was basically absent from all of them. And that doesn't apply to our top 2. Which are of course the brothers themselves, with Luigi in second place at 63 points. I mean, of course Luigi would finish highly. He has been relevant from pretty much the moment the series began, is the second most playable character in the franchise, which obviously bodes well for him, and he is super iconic in his own right. And yet, there are a few titles here and there where Luigi is weirdly absent from the box. I'm talking Mario Kart 64, Mario Party 9, which is an ensemble image without Luigi, and both Mario Sports Superstars and the recent Mario Tennis Fever ditched Luigi in favor of Daisy. It didn't hurt his position in the end, but it is a little odd I think. Peach and Yoshi have much less of these unexplainable absences. If they keep up, it wouldn't surprise me if Peach makes up that 6-point gap sometime in the future. And of course, the number 1 is Mario. 118 games that I counted for this video have the titular character on the cover. It shouldn't really be a surprise. What's actually probably more interesting is that there are 7 games that I counted for this video that do not have Mario on the cover. All 3 Luigi's Mansion games, Princess Peach Showtime, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and by technicality, the first 2 Dr. Mario games, seeing as I separated Dr. Mario from normal Mario. So yeah, as long as Mario is in the game, he is on the cover, that shouldn't be a surprise. Even if he's being kidnapped like in Super Princess Peach, he still finds his way onto the cover, and it shouldn't be a surprise that the gap between the 2 brothers is this big, it's nearly double. After all, there are so many Mario games that only have him on the cover. No one is ever getting close to his title, it's that simple. Were those the results you predicted? Or did you get them all wrong? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. If you really want to support me, you can now become a channel member to get all kinds of fun perks and help me keep bringing these videos to your doorstep every week. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.